Eagles, Josh, have 3 picks, 15, 16, and 19. Debo's going to be a busy little bee on middle of that first round. Well, what do you see their needs as? And I mean, how Howie Roseman attacks this will be really interesting too, because we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. You know, some people, or Debo mentioned this, like some Eagles fans, like want them to trade up and go get somebody, but it's like, if you trade up, you might have to give, like, you don't want to trade I wouldn't want to trade in the top 10 in this particular draft to give up 2 first rounders. Like, I want to sit back. I feel like you can borderline change the direction of your franchise with 3 top 20 picks in a draft that is structured this way.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've got 3 darts, throw it on the board, hope you get 3 bullseyes. That's what you're hoping to come away with. In my mock draft this morning, I had them taking Devontae Wyatt, the defensive tackle from Georgia, and I believe I'm fairly certain it was an edge rusher. I think it was Florida State's Jermaine Johnson, and I know they just picked up Hassan Reddick, but you're talking about a couple of guys that could come in and be, the future Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox of that defense. I think when you look at this roster, if you can kind of replace some of those aged assets and have a building, a bridge to the future, I think that's an enviable outcome for this Philadelphia team. And then you look at a couple other positions of need: linebacker, wide receiver. Both of those are unorthodox when you typically talk about Philadelphia, because as it has been pointed out by numerous Eagles fans over the past couple of years, they don't take linebackers in the first round. They just don't value them in that capacity. But I think they've finally broken they've reached their breaking point, and they may actually consider a linebacker in the first round. So you're talking about Devin Lloyd from Utah and Nakobe Dean from Georgia. And then wide receiver, are you going to go back to the wide receiver well after taking 2 in the first round in recent years? I think they probably could. I don't know if they should, just based on the way the offense is structured. Maybe I would wait until day 2, but those are the primary needs that I look at for this team, and then cornerback, safety as well.
So for me, the Eagles are, we were talking about turning points. The Commanders at number 11. Does that kind of where the, first round gets a little hazy? With having those 3 selections, 15, 16, and 19, it seems like that's around where Derek Stingley is ultimately going to go. I think that would be a tremendous fit for them. But it's interesting because if the Eagles pass on Derek Stingley 3 times, I think that would raise a huge red flag to the teams picking at 20 and beyond, that initially would be so happy and ecstatic that, hey, Derek Stingley's still available. We can't believe it. This was a guy that was mocked inside the top 5 until he got injured. I think Derek Stingley, Andrew Booth, the Washington corners that we've talked about at length, any of the edge rushers. I'm a little lower on Jermaine Johnson than most people, but it does seem like he is going to be, a top half of the first round selection. I'm fine even with Josh Sweat there on that defensive line for the Eagles to go in that direction. And I agree with Josh. I would not pick a wide receiver. Not that Jalen Reagor's been amazing. Devontae Smith had an encouraging rookie season, but just wait in this draft. 2nd or 3rd round, pick a wide receiver there to add for Jalen Hurts. I really am leaning toward corner. And I think Lewis Seen from Georgia, because of the combine that he had, like jumped 40 inches, 11-foot broad jump, very hard hitter, but also good in coverage, seems like he would make a lot of sense for that Eagles defense as well. It wasn't really that good of a secondary last year. And for as much as I'm for them trying to build around Jalen Hurts, I would actually like them to go more defense, like Josh mentioned in his mock, in the first round with these 3 picks.
I dig it. Debo, do you want to weigh in on your thoughts here on the Eagles chatter here?
Yeah, I want a linebacker, someone in the secondary, and then I would probably go with a receiver with that 3rd pick, depending on how things shake out. I would not be against that. My whole thing, like, they've never had 3 first-round picks. So if it was 1 first-round pick, I'm not going wide receiver again. But with 3 there, if one of the top guys is available at 15, 16, or 19, I'd go for that and then go back to the well in the later rounds. So I am not against a receiver. I get Josh's reasoning for the edge and defensive line, but that's probably a little bit lower down my list now because of that Reddick signing. But wouldn't be completely upset if someone fell in their lap there.
Well, that's under the assumption they're going to sign Tyrann Mathieu. I can't even say it anymore without hearing breach. Tyrann Mathieu. And Patrick Peterson, of course.
I was on this I was on a podcast that will be out like next week or something like that, but it's like not a CBS podcast. And like, I was being asked about free agency, and like I almost hit the button because I was like, but then and then I was like, oh wait, that joke won't land. And then I was almost like, Tyrann Mathieu. I almost said it. I just call him Honey Badger because it screwed me up.
Tyrann Mathieu.
Like, it's a problem. So I just say Honey Badger.
Yeah, Traps, I'd be extremely upset if 3 times the Eagles passed on Stingley and he was there. Maybe they would have a reason for it, but that would cause a complete uproar.
Indeed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Philly Sports Radio would be pretty awesome the next day.
It's worth it for the Philly Sports Radio.